Mysterio being a hero in Spider-Man Far From Home is comic accurate, says director. That is coming up next on NBA Heroes. And we're going to kick off the show, John, with the headline coming in from Screen Rant in regards to Mysterio's presence in Spider-Man Far From Home. Is he or is he not a good guy or a bad guy?
Well, Stephen, according to, I think it's Wyatt's, the guy's
John
name
Watts,
is.
yeah.
John Watts.
Yeah.
I'm saying Wyatt's because I'm clearly a big WWE fan and I remember the Wyatt family. But yeah, Stephen, John Watts, I've totally read it wrong, incidentally, but not worry about those final little details.
No.
He has went back and he's basically says, look, everybody is critiquing this trailer and saying that Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio character can't possibly be a good guy.
We
He's
did
got to be
Sean.
the antagonist. Yes, I was guilty of this myself, Stephen. But my excuse is that I have not read any of the comics. I'm 50 years behind. I have to catch up. I'm a comic book movie fan and I really do have to sort out this sort of a lack of knowledge on the comics. I need to go back and read them. But he says, if you go back and read the 1964 run when Mysterio entered the fray in the Spider-Man comic book run, I can't recall the exact one, I think it was The Amazing Spider-Man,
That's right,
number 13, the issue. He says that Mysterio was indeed originally he was masquerading as a good guy. He was originally a heroic figure. Spider-Man was made to look like a villain. He was robbing things and whatnot, and he was a villainous character, or made to look like a villainous character. Spider-Man didn't know what was going on. Then eventually it was revealed that Mysterio was indeed a nefarious figure, and he was a guy masquerading as Spider-Man in certain days and nights or whatnot, and robbing things, and he was framing Peter Parker for it. So it's the comic book story, the original telling of Mysterio and his phrase with Spider-Man is indeed, it's accurate. And Far From Home, this depiction is accurate. He is indeed a good guy, but he may very well turn into an antagonist, Stephen, and we actually discussed that in our reaction video for Far From Home. Could this be them toying with us? Could it be a double bluff, a misdirection in the trailer? Could he in fact be an antagonistic figure and he's kidding on that he's a good guy? Or could it be that this guy came from a different multiverse, actually is a good version of Mysterio, and could he perhaps be killed off by the current version of Mysterio in this universe, and then he takes his place and becomes an antagonist?
I hope it's not that
There was so many different threads where this could go, Stephen. But what's your thoughts on this? Give it on.
Jake Gyllenhaal has got a lot of to do with this, with his performance in these trailers. The editing as well, John, you've got to take into account with trailers can be misleading at times, can be a bit of misdirection. In this case, I don't think it is. I think what we're going to see here is the development of the character from the very beginning in this movie. I think he's got the intentions of being a good guy at this stage. That's not to say that further down the line that they might want to take him off in a different direction, but I do get that. Jake Gyllenhaal is a fantastic actor. I think the scenes that we've seen already in the trailer does open up the questions whether or not he has been genuine or not. We'll have to see.
I think the fact he's working with Nick Fury,
well, this is the thing,
makes
John,
me think that he will be a good guy in this film.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Because he's not easily fooled.
I've watched the trailer since we did the reaction the other week there, and I've watched it a few more times, and that was the key scene that kind of confirmed it for me was Nick Fury, I was about to say Nick Cage, Nick Fury introduces Mysterio to Peter Parker and said he is from this world but not this dimension or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but the other thing I did pick up from the trailer, which is me getting off on a bit of a tangent here, is the fact Peter Parker did say the multiverse. We did say when the Spider-Man film that came out, the animated Spider-Man film that came out at the end of last year, was them planting the seeds to condition us into this kind of way of thinking with the Spider-Man character, Miles Morales character. And I think there's going to be something maybe further down the line.
I really like that.
I don't know if it will be Marvel that will handle it or whether it will be Sony.
Well, our initial thoughts were, Stephen, that obviously Marvel are now dealing with Peter Parker, that iteration of Spider-Man, Alter Ego. So the fact that Sony can't get their hands on him because they have a deal with Marvel to use that character in the MCU, our thoughts were that Marvel, or Sony I should say, would then use the Miles Morales version of the character, and they were conditioning the audience into this different take on a Spider-Man alter ego from a different universe, and they would utilise that in their villainous Venom sort of a universe that they're trying to create. I think they're using the goddamn vampire, I forget his name again. I always forget that name. Jared Leto's playing him.
Yeah.
Morbius.
Yeah.
So I think that was our ideas. They would use Miles Morales. Marvel, the MCU, Disney would continue to use Peter Parker. Could be though that we see crossover.
But isn't it great that that Marvel or any long-running comic book series can go back to the original sources and prove their point with this material. I think it's great. I think
it just shows you the gold mine of stuff they've got, the content they've got to mine from. Steve.
And as I said, they go back through that material from 50, 60 years ago, and they can prove their argument.
And Stephen, that actually runs into the villains which are going to be appearing in the movie as well. The Elementals, they have had a bit of rejigging as well, because they say in this article that I've actually went into a black hole reading. I've went into a multiverse of articles to read this. But that the original Elementals introduced were magical masters of the 4 classic elements, and they were indeed powerful enough to fight Captain Marvel. And that the ones that are appearing in the trailer are like mere mindless, albeit tough monsters. So they're rejigging various things from the comics, original comic runs and stuff like that, to fit into this sort of a multiverse sort of a movie that we're getting in Far From Home. Mysterio's this good guy that's kind of a connecting into the original run of Mysterio.
Yeah.
May just be that they've tapped into that to have him as a good guy, and they're saying, look, it's authentic to the comics, we're not doing anything out of the ordinary, but it may just lend into this multiverse where Mysterio is actually a good guy.
Yeah.
And then they're doing it with the Elementals as well, Stephen. They've watered them down, and they're these tough, albeit tough figures for Mysterio and Spider-Man to fight, but not quite what they originally were in the comics. So it's cool, as you did say, we have all of this mountain of sort of a gold to mine from for these great films, 50, 60 years of information. And Stephen, I have to say, I'm happy if this is going to be a continuation for the Mysterio character from Far From Home into future films, because I says it in my reaction to the video with yourself, that I would like to see Jake Gyllenhaal continuing as this character. He looks so cool, visually he looks cool, his powers are incredible. I've seen him flying through the sky in the trailer. I want to see this character continuing on and having various movies, maybe turning into a full-blown antagonist later on down the line. That would be very cool, and it'd be something different for Marvel. I don't think, out with Loki anyway, I've not seen villains try continuing on into different films, so it'd be very cool.
No, but listen, John, we'll move on to our next article. This comes in from comicbook.com, and the headline is simply, Bucky knew about Cap's decision in Avengers Endgame. This is in regards to who he was passing his shield on to. You did, you're absolutely right, John. And the reasons for it as well are mentioned in this article as well, in regards to the Winter Soldier's sort of background, the path he was on, the sort of recuperation of the character as well at this stage in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well for the Winter Soldier. It does confirm, I think it's actually the writers, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, that confirmed that their assumption is that he and Steve had a long conversation before Steve went back in time. That was kind of my interpretation without even reading this article from the first viewing at the very end. I don't think there was many people in our theatre that was pretty surprised by that decision by Steve Rogers to pass it on to Sam, and I think it was probably because it was a no-brainer really, but I think as well because they're going down the path of having a television series with these characters as well. The Winter Soldier's got more to offer, John, in regards to where we're going to take that character. There's still a lot of mystery surrounding those missing years with Bucky. The
brainwashing years under the, obviously, the tutelage of the Hydra.
The
Hydra. Nefarious Hydra.
Sam, on the other hand, is a very interesting character, but he's always been in the shadow of Captain America. We were talking before we came on, John, and that was my interpretation of the character as well. This is his time now. The shadow's not there now. It's time for him to shine, and I think we will now. I think it was the right decision as well, but it's good to see that the writers have actually confirmed there possibly was this conversation between the two characters.
Yeah, Stephen, as I did say, I recognised immediately at the end of the film when I watched it. Chris Evans, Steve Rogers was speaking to Bucky. And I noticed, over drinks, we spoke about that last week. Those two had a conversation, a brief little conversation before Steve went into the time portal thing and went back through obviously the quantum realm to right the wrongs and return the stones to their various different rightful places. And I noticed, Stephen, right away that the interactions, it looked like they had Bucky had a certain degree of knowing about Steve's plan to get back and live a life with obviously, I forget her bloody name, Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Margaret Carter, I think her name is now.
Yeah.
Finally got her name in Endgame. That was a nice little Easter egg, incidentally. So yeah, I'm not surprised even to see the writers coming out and confirming that, because it was always clear as mud to me. I've seen a lot of people kick up a fuss after watching Endgame, saying why did they not pass it to Bucky? Why did they not have a conversation with Bucky at the end? He's snubbed his best friend.
There was another part, John, just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's okay.
There was another bit in that scene that just came to my head as well. You actually see Bucky giving Sam the nod as if, on you go, he wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
So that in itself speaks volumes of the character accepting his role and being very satisfied with Captain America's, Steve Rogers' decision on passing the shield to Sam, So.
Are one and the same. Stephen Captain America and Steve Rogers and Chris Evans are all one and the same. Not that ginger bespeckled guy over here. He's god awful. But yeah, Stephen, talking about the reasons for giving obviously the shield to Falcon. Obviously Sam. It's getting a little bit of a brain freeze there. That's never good. I completely agree with the writer's reasoning and obviously your take on it, Stephen. That you think there's more story to be had by giving Sam the shield and obviously the guise of Captain America. Whether he takes that guise or not is another thing entirely. But to give it to Bucky, it wouldn't feel right. No. He's on this redemptive path from being
ideals,
from a dark sort of a recess he's been in, missing years under brainwash and stuff like that, doing the dirty work for Hydra. So there's more. Obviously, stuff to be unravelled with that great character Bucky. We don't have to give him the guise of Captain America, whereas it's going to aid Sam and his journey going forward. We're going to get to see more stories played out. He's going to come into the limelight, as you did say, Stephen, be his own man out of the shadow of obviously Captain America. So it's great for the two characters going forward. It's great for this new TV show that we're getting on Disney+. It's going to be interesting to see the dynamic. I'm pretty sure the two will get on pretty damn well. I'm pretty sure they were on the same side in Civil War. Sam certainly sided with Steve Rogers in Civil War, so can't wait to see it. They've got great chemistry, they're good friends off the screen. Looking forward to that going forward. I've got no issues with it, and I really like to quote at the end where I don't know what writer it was exactly, says that obviously Captain America was always an upstanding member of society. He was the epitome of good, and giving that to an African American guy is great. It's not patting ourselves on the back, I'm just saying that's pointing towards a better America. So I completely agree. Anthony Mackie, fantastic actor, fantastic guy, fully deserves this new direction for his character, which I really enjoy. Incidentally, I've always liked Falcon. I spoke of my dismay at Falcon appearing in a poll with Captain America as one of the least liked characters in the MCU. That's just absolutely disgraceful. I'm sorry. So yeah, I agree with the writers in short, Stephen.
Yeah, we're going to stay on those writers, John, in regards to our next article. This is about the Marvel writers reveal the scariest part of writing Avengers Endgame. So we'll stay on with Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely on this next article. But basically, I think it was McFeely said to Variety, we were nervous at the moment because it was such a big project. Marcus added that we knew this would never come around again for someone to offer you the culmination of this big of an undertaking that's never going to happen again, and as a consuming and sometimes painful as it was over the past 4.5 years that we've been working on it, it will never happen again. To walk away from it would seem like something you're really going to kick yourself about later. I like that position that these writers have taken for this part in the MCU. This is a culmination of 12 years hard work, not just the 4.5 years they were working on Endgame, but when you think of all the combination of all the directors, the writers for all these films, 22 films.
22 films,
That's an enormous work. That's enormous collaboration. I'm not saying they all sat around the same table at the same time. There's obviously a lot of collaborating between directors and the Russos, etc. John, exactly, and these writers as well. But I get where they're coming from. That part there, we knew this would never come around again, is the part that stands out for me.
Yeah, Stephen, it stands out for me firstly because it's great to see these two guys being thrust into this high-pressured situation where they have the culmination of the entire Infinity Saga. 22 films, 11 years of blood, sweat and tears. of this interconnected, fantastic cinematic universe, and they have took all of that pressure and they've looked at it from a positive slant and says, look, this is our opportunity to do something special, something ambitious, take a story which is just ridiculously complicated and ambitious and make it work, because we'll never get this chance again. So it's great to see them get into this with a positive and optimistic viewpoint. But the other reason, Stephen, we were discussing it, is just to compare it to how, this is how you do a movie like this. This is how you take great characters, utilise them to the maximum and introduce them into a great story and make everything work in a cohesive manner, which appeases the fans, brings in new fans, and it's a fantastic experience to watch. 3 hours and I never once was bored. It just flew in. I've watched it twice now, Stephen, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it each time. But you compare that, Stephen, to what Lucasfilm and the likes of Rian Johnson did with The Last Jedi. That's how you don't handle a great story, great characters, and utilise it and put it in. He took a great character like Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, totally shat upon it for me. Wrecked the character. A lot of people would say he didn't wreck it. I mean, I understand the reasonings for Luke Skywalker's situation.
Day, John, but
he's like this grizzly guy and he's got a reasons for being the way he was, but that's how you don't handle it. This is how you handle these great characters, the story. Don't take the pressure and make a negative out of it and try and shoehorn things in. This is how you do it.
I totally agree, John.
For me.
My experience first time watching Endgame, that was going through my head probably about maybe a third into the film, probably the first hour. I was just thinking, when it got to the sort of time travel part of it, I went, this must have been an absolute nightmare to write, first and foremost, to really put that down on paper and make sense of it. Yeah, exactly, and at no point was there any shoehorning of any of the characters. They were all handled perfectly. They all were given enough time on screen. Some might say the ones that were regenerated or whatever you want to call it. But that was the point. That was the point of resurrecting the characters at the very end for that final battle scene. So it worked in that sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked otherwise.
Exactly. if they came back at the first 5 minutes, it would have been.
And if it didn't come back at all, and you were to appease them and not rejuvenate those characters, Thanos would have absolutely wiped the floor.
That did go through my head in regards to the writers, John. It must have been a mammoth task. I can see why they're saying, this took 4.5 years. I get that.
Yeah.
But as I said, I think it's taken a lot longer than that to get to where they are. When you piece all these pieces together, on a second viewing, you notice a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
You notice all these little nods to the previous films as well. There was one with the Wasp where she calls Captain America Cap after making a mug of Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp for calling him Cap. And there was other things as well, to your left, etc. Which I never picked up on the first viewing, I've got to be honest with you, but seeing it the second time, I got where that came from. There's a lot of little references throughout the film, and that's just down to great writing and paying attention. And really, it's fan service as well, but not to a sycophantic level,
Yeah, people treat fan service as if it's a dirty thing, Stephen, these days. Appeasing the fan base, it's something that's wrong.
That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should be doing. You should be highlighting your key demographics and giving them what they want.
Yeah.
And this is what Kevin Feige, this is what the Russos, Jon Favreau, I think you said Joe Johnson, was that?
Yeah, Joe Johnston did the Captain America first Avenger,
That's what these guys have done, the Russos. They have highlighted the key demographics and they've gave them exactly what they wanted, and it's been unashamed the way that they've targeted the storylines. The fans have been pretty clear in the way they want to see the characters growing, the way the stories should be developing, and in the main they have gave the fans what they want. And again, just finally comparing it to Star Wars, I feel like in recent years Lucasfilm has been doing everything they can to perhaps alienate large swathes of the demographic, their key demographics, going completely against what they want, not giving them more of the legacy characters, going off inside jaunts and doing animal cruelty adverts and whatnot to the complete detriment to the story. This is how you do it. Fantastic writing for these two guys, great tension, great arcs. We're going off and doing time travel, we're doing all sorts. We've got big bombastic story arcs, we've got sort of intimate little moments with Thor, with his mother, but great storytelling, full to the brim with fan service, handled perfectly for me, and I just find it so great to hear people taking this high pressured situation and taking a positive slant and doing something great with it. So yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was great, John. But
I was happy with the film.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic writers as well. We'll move on to our next article. This comes in from hnentertainment.com. The headline is the Russo brothers allude Fantastic Four could finally get a definitive movie at Marvel, and Wolverine's MCU introduction can wait. Now, just to give you a sort of brief, this was an interview with both the Russos, and at some point they are saying Fantastic Four is going to have a definitive movie, which will be part of the MCU. Well, once they do that, that's it. There's no going back. It's faltered over the years, John, over the last 10-15 years, that franchise. But now, obviously, with the merger taking place, these characters can finally get to shine on the big screen. These were characters I actually liked as an animated series. I never read the comic books, but I remember in the sort of mid-80s, Fantastic Four, I was very interested in them. There were some crossovers with Spider-Man, some of these animated series as well, which was fantastic. You get the likes of an antagonist like Doctor Doom, fantastic villain. This is the way it should be done. They do mention certain elements of what they would like to see. I know that Joe Russo, he loved Ben Grimm from the Fantastic Four. But also the other part of this article, which might be sounding a little disheartening, John, with the character Wolverine. We might not see him for a little while. After reading this, I had a little think about it. I'm not bothered about that, to be honest with you. I think over the last 10-15 years, we've saw a lot of this character through Hugh Jackman's portrayal. The Logan film's still raw with me. I don't think I went back to watch that because I find it hard to watch because it's a farewell to
it's a very difficult film to watch.
To the character. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's just a very hard film to watch, especially the last half hour or so. It's not a bad thing to give the character a little rest for maybe 5-10 years, maybe. Yeah,
Stephen, I completely agree. I'm not too fussed about seeing Wolverine being left for a good 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 years. Certainly Feige, I think, has come out and says it's not within the next 5 years, the plan. They've got clear plans in place for the next 5 years, and it doesn't involve any tie-ins with X-Men in general, not just Wolverine. So I'm happy to see that, because Hugh Jackman was so synonymous with that character that to do it so quickly, it would feel jarring, it wouldn't feel right. I don't think the fans would connect. As I did say to you, Stephen, I actually don't think there's anybody out there just now I can think of portraying Wolverine. Perhaps in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, or maybe somebody develops, perhaps we see him in a different light and they can then step into the shoes of that great character. But I'm glad to see that they're not rushing these characters in. Certainly Fantastic, the Fantastic Four, that's right. I tripped out my nut there, sorry about that. Where they would come in, I don't know if there's plans for them to come in anytime soon. Certainly the Russos think a definitive movie is on the cards. Does that mean it's going to interconnect into the MCU? I'm not too sure. How would they work? Are they cosmic? I actually don't know much about Fantastic Four, I can't lie. I think they are human characters who develop these innate traits. Or not innate traits, because that's God-given, John. They develop traits. Invisible Woman. I know the Human Torch. I did watch the...
Chris Evans was the Human Torch.
Chris Evans, he was a Human Torch. I watched that movie. It was absolutely terrible. Good god-awful. So I don't want to see anything connecting to that in any way. But, I'm not really fussed either way about Fantastic Four, really.
If it comes
I'm happy that Wolverine's in the distance, but
listen, John,
quite happy to see Fantastic Four in the distance as well.
If it comes about, it comes about. We'll deal with it then. But, it is right. Once it enters the MCU, that's it. There's no going back.
There is no going back, and that's why they really have
unless
to
they do a
finger snap.
But
I'll throw them off.
The characters, if they're done right, if they're written right and handled well, then I wouldn't mind seeing it. I've got to be honest with you. I did like the animated series back in the 80s. But we've had our fingers burnt with the Chris Evans ones. I think there was 2 of them. The Silver Surfer was a sequel, and then there was a reboot, I think maybe 3-4 years ago, which I haven't even bothered with.
That, no.
But I heard it wasn't doing very well. But you can't tell me that Disney didn't want to, I'm pretty sure the Fantastic Four was part of the reasons, not just the X-Men, but these characters
look,
as well.
Stephen, I've got full confidence in Kevin Feige and all the people involved in Marvel and the cinematic universe. Whatever they choose, I've got full confidence in them coming in and integrating these characters in a sort of an organic way where it feels right, and they'll mesh in with the current characters that within that universe anyway. So I feel confidence in them making it work regardless. Whether I want to see it or not is completely irrelevant. I'm sure I'll be happy when they come.
But listen, we're going to move on, John, because time is pressing. This is just a little article that came in from Cinema Blend. And again, it's the Russo brothers show today. It's Joe Russo is interested in directing a Batman movie now.
But it's DC now, Stephen.
Yeah,
it
was it's a simple question. You know, if he could pick a DC film, you know, if he was given a chance to direct a DC movie, Joe Russo, you know, was asked the question, and he answered with he would like to take a shot at Batman. I think what he says, and this was as far as what I collected as a kid. I collected Batman. That was one of the DC characters I collected, so it would have to be Batman. Not much of a statement there, but it's plain and simple. That's the movie that he'd like to, you know, or the franchise, I should say, the character he would like to, you know, take on next if he was offered a, you know, a directorial role with DC. Yeah. As we know, Matt Reeves.
Take him in a heartbeat,
I think they would as well. Matt Reeves is obviously currently working on the next Batman film, so he might have to wait a little while before he gets that opportunity. Yeah,
Stephen, I don't want to see them pushing Matt Reeves aside, first and foremost. That guy's been working very hard on this the Batman film. Obviously, it's going to be detective heavy, so I can't wait to see that. But if Joe Russo and want to go and do a Batman movie in the future, I will not be adverse to that at all. I says it, I think, last week perhaps, or the week before, on another Heroes episode, that with James Gunn stepping in to do the Suicide Squad and simultaneously working on the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, that I want to see more of this integration and intermingling between the Marvel and DC, utilising these great directors to create stories for DC as well as the MCU. So I'm absolutely delighted that Joe Russo perhaps is interested in directing a Batman movie. Not surprised that his favourite character is Batman in the DC side of things, because certainly he's my favourite character as well, I'd have to say. Him or Kal-El. But that's just stating the obvious, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, John. But I think it always helps if you've got the director that's vested in the character as well, gets the character and gets what the fans like as well. So it wouldn't be a bad idea. But I'm very interested to see what Matt Reeves brings to, you know, the character and what he brings to the silver screen. But listen, that just brings us to the end of this week's MBE Heroes. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us, and we will be back again tomorrow with MBE Movie News.